All right, I want to start a series of short recordings, trying to keep them to 15 minutes, looking at internal analysis. So we've done external analysis where we're really looking outside the company and we can help fill out those opportunities and threats in a SWOT matrix. If you're looking over on the right, this diagram actually is showing you what you need to do as part of the poster presentation for the company that you're studying on your own and that we'll actually do as a class as we use Tesla as a case study. I'm going to be talking today primarily about Harley-Davidson Company as a chance to explain some of the concepts. But on the right-hand side, we've actually done three of the last four bullet points: industry summary, competitive analysis, a steep or step analysis, and we'll be able to do the summary part when we have done the internal analysis piece as well. And so we'll be talking about the other bullet points on this first part or the front side of the poster presentation that you're putting together this year because of uncertainty and distance. You'll be doing that through PowerPoint as opposed to literally a poster. And we'll talk more about the delivery in our class time together. Again, as always, feel free to pause and look through material if there's too much on a slide at the pace I'm going. You can always replay. This is a summary format. I was trying to download the one that was completed, but of course today we're having internet issues on the campus. So I do have this framework. It's completed for the college, and there's a simple model like this that summarizes what is over 100 pages of our strategic document in one page. And I would just like to highlight first and foremost, you have to understand the current mission and vision of the company that you're looking at, whether that's Tesla that we're doing together, Harley Davidson that we're going to talk about in a moment, or the specific company that you personally have selected to study on your own. We understand what's happening today because the goal is to then make a recommendation that would change something and therefore um, give hopefully a better chance of competing successfully in the future to the company. And when I do strategic consulting, that's exactly what I'm trying to help a company do. Think about what in the future would allow them. And so you see these three kind of core ideas: engaged campus culture, innovative growth, and transformational partnerships are the core three things that we focus on. So Harley Davidson, keep in mind that this is a snapshot in time. So it's a little bit dated in the sense that the snapshot was taken in the past. But here's their vision and mission statement. You should take a moment and read those. Often I talk about mission and vision similarly. Most people who have both, they would define them slightly different. In that mission is what keeps us in business, why we exist, our kind of dream. So here we ride with our customers, imply this deep connection in every market we serve to create superior value for all our stakeholders. And um, the vision is more the feel that you want the company to leave stakeholders with. Not all companies have both. They may only have a vision or mission statement. Most companies will have at least one, if not both of those. So internal scanning, we really want to understand what are we good at, what are we maybe just average at, and what are we weak at. And every company will have strengths and weaknesses as well as areas that they're just kind of on par with their core competition. And so the goal is to uncover those so we can fill in the strengths and weaknesses in a SWOT matrix. Usually we look at things like structure and trying to understand if the structure of the organization is supportive of the mission and objectives. We look at the culture of the organization, and those are a little harder to get at. But a structure, for example, you might go to the company website and look at what does their organizational chart look like? Hopefully you can find an organizational chart for the company. Culture is a little more subjective, trying to understand what it's like being part of that company and how you would define or describe it. I would say that some of the things I would use to describe the culture of Harley Davidson is that most of the folks involved in the company are also highly tied to the product. They own the product, they use the product, they might be part of the Harley organization group, the Hogs, and they're probably really proud of being part of that group. They see themselves as designers and creators of something that's iconic and something very American and something that represents quality and excellence in their industry. The culture is collaborative, it's communal, it's family oriented. So we start to unpack what is the culture like there, and you want to see what insiders and outsiders are saying to try and get not just the culture they're trying to project on their website, but that's a good place to start, but the actual culture that you would experience if you were working there. And then we look a lot and we'll spend a lot of time on organizational resources and capabilities, looking at marketing, looking at finance, things like operations and HR and information technology. And some of these will have better tools and explanations of as we move forward. But that's kind of a broad overview of scanning. And so we could start with two of the biggest ones are in the area of, um, marketing and financial factors. And so when we do a marketing analysis, we're going to want to understand what the current objectives, strategies, programs are. We're going to want to understand market position. How much market share do we have? What's our customer mix look like? What's our product life cycle? We'll look at the 4 Ps. What's our product? What's our pricing? How do we place that product? And how do we promote that product or products? And then what does that yield in terms of brand reputation, market share, profitability? In financial, we're going to do both benchmarking and trend analysis. So in trend analysis, you will be comparing what is happening in the company over time. And you look at a 5-year history as the goal and just see how they're tracking over that 5 years, just the company itself. Are they more or less liquid over time? Are they more or less profitable over time? Are they more or less efficient over time? Are they using more leverage or taking on more financing over time? Share price we won't focus on as much. That's not a focus of the undergraduate level, but it is something that you can look at for your own interest. And there's some information there because we use that in our graduate programs. And then benchmarking is not how we're doing relative to ourselves over time. Benchmarking is how are we doing right now compared to our competitors, and you'll need 1 to 2 key competitors and the industry as a whole. So that's benchmarking. How are we doing compared to others? Trend, how are we doing relative to ourselves over time? And you'll need to do both of those in financial analysis. So the goals, again, are to understand the strengths and weaknesses. We talked about the 4 areas we're going to look at, and we're going to jump into financial performance analysis. And I'll start it in this lecture and then probably carry it on in the one after this, just in an attempt to keep things a little bit broken up. So we're going to ask in financial performance, how's the company performing? What kind of results are current strategies yielding? Are we currently healthy from a financial perspective? What are our strengths and weaknesses? And do we have the resources and financial foundation to pursue the strategies we're considering? So if we want to make a change, it's going to take an investment of capital and other resources. Do we have means of getting access to those, whether it's through selling more of the company off, through stock options or stock sales? Is it through borrowing, leveraging what we already have, or do we have cash reserves for making that kind of investment for the future and the kind of changes that we're going to be recommending. So there are four primary areas that you need to look at. You must use at least one of the, and if you look at our syllabus, you'll see examples of these. Efficiency, how efficient are assets being managed? This is a proxy for how well the company operations are, that we'll talk about a little bit later. It is important to understand the kind of decisions that are being made by management and whether they're using assets well. Liquidity, can we pay our bills right now, particularly looking at a 12-month period? Are we going to have cash flow issues? So the kinds of ratios you'll look at it in liquidity are asking, is it easy or difficult for us to pay our bills over the next 12 months in particular? Financing or leverage, we're trying to understand how much debt we're already in, how we're able to service that debt, whether there's room and maybe it even makes sense for us to take on more debt if we're looking to grow or change in some way. And then finally, profitability, which can be kind of a measure of the other three in an overall factor, but trying to understand at the base, are we currently profitable and how does that compare to the profitability of the industry as a whole? And just so you're aware, I mean, it's not uncommon for even Fortune 500 companies to lose money in a particular year, or to have very, very low profitability in a particular year, especially one out of every 3 to 5 years. And then the tool that we'll do to use that is called ratio analysis. Don't get hung up on the numbers. You need to be able to read a balance sheet and an income statement. An income statement is often also called a profit loss or P&L statement. And you need to be able to do ratios, which is literally division, and you can always use a calculator. So the math is not hard, but you do have to pick the right numbers, do a division to get a ratio. And so we'll use ratio analysis. We will not use percentage composition analysis. Again, that's a master's level tool, and we won't use it in this course. Again, trend analysis, pattern over time, benchmarking is versus key competitors and the industry as a whole. So with that, we're going to start looking at financial performance analysis of Harley-Davidson, and just some notes. These are calculated from balance sheets and income statements. We actually used to have Hoover's report. You will use market line. And so market line reports are where you can find a company and get the report that you need. So everyone will do that for Tesla. You will do it for the single company that you personally are doing an analysis of. And you should be working on both the case and your individual company each stage as we talk about things, and I'll ask you to turn in your work so I know you're not saving it for the end. And so you should get that market line advantage report. We no longer have Hoover's, but it provides similar information. You'll need some balance sheet and income statement data to do the analysis. And then benchmark data. In our case, we chose BMW as a core competitor and have industry data, which you can also find at MarketLine, and the other place is IBIS World. So I'm going to pause at this point, and then we'll dig more into financial analysis in the next recording.